Hello and welcome to another episode of The Hollywood Knitter. It is episode 50. I usually don't do numbers because I don't remember, but episode 50 is a milestone. And I'm recording on Thursday, October 31st, 2019, which is my birthday. I turned 43 today. And I am taking this opportunity, like I do most years, when it falls during the work week, to take the day off and to kind of have a me day. And as part of my me day, I wanted to sit down and record a podcast and tell you about what's been going on, show you my knitting, share some Halloween favorites, and enjoy it with my friends. So that's what we're doing today. I have a lot of things in front of me. So first off, we're gonna share some favorite Halloween things. So because I'm a Halloween baby, I've always had an affinity for Halloween. It's always one of my favorite days of the year, not just because it's my birthday, but I adore Halloween. And one of my favorite things is actually right here behind me. This is a ceramic pumpkin that my mother made, I think, when I was a few months old. She did, I think, like some people, I shouldn't know that, but my grandmother did a ceramics course, had a ceramics kick over a year, and they did a fair amount of ceramic things. There were some like plates, and my grandmother has, I think, elephant or things, but this was one my mom did, and I guess they had them pre-done, and then they painted them, and they did it, and it's an open pumpkin. And it's always been for me, and you can put like a little tea light, which I usually do, in it, and it's one of my favorite things. And when I had graduated from college, I actually asked if I could have it, and up until then it was with her. So this is one of my favorite things. I have it out all year round, and it just makes me smile. It makes me think of my mom. It makes me feel loved. It makes me think of my favorite day. So I brought it out to kind of sit in the background today. The other thing I want to show you before I start with my favorite Halloween thing is behind me, and you can't see it, but it is the Halloween quilt that my mother made me a few years ago. I had a thought a few years ago that I was going to start quilting or sewing, and so I started buying Halloween fabrics, especially like the day after Halloween when they all went on sale, and I amassed a huge amount of Halloween fabric because I had no idea how much fabric you actually needed, so I bought way too much. And then when I realized that I was not going to do that. I wasn't. I gave it to my mom, and she created this giant Halloween quilt with the fabrics, the pumpkins and other pumpkins and greens, and and then this great little border fabric. And my favorite is also just the backing. Like, look at this. And you can't tell. Oh, you can kind of see it's got a silvery sheen. So this actually sits on my couch most of the year. I did put it away during the summer this year and have taken it out. So my favorite also makes me feel loved. And it's handmade. So, yes, it's partly, this might be why where my affinity from orange comes from, is, my birthday. But, oh, my kitty's having a little allergy attack. I'm enjoying tea today in tea from China that was brought back for me in my Jenny the Potter pumpkin mug, which is my favorite. I have two Jenny the Potter mugs, but this is my absolute favorite because I love pumpkins. So I'm using that today. It is just a Halloween palooza up in here. So let's get into finished objects. I only have one. Let me pull up my show notes too. That would be helpful. Sorry about this. I should have it all thing. I should show you. I want to show you even my my background on my tablet. Come on. All right. Sorry. These are the After the Storm socks. So these are sort of my standard toe up, and the yarn, here I'll just show one. The yarn is On the Round, her 100% superwash wool in the After the Storm colorway that I picked up at Maryland Sheep and Wool in 2016, which I think was the last time I went. And I had said that I didn't like knitting these socks. I didn't really like knitting with the 100% wool. It felt really kind of scratchy on my hands, and so that's why I decided to make them shorties, which I'm happy with. I really like the striping, how it came out. And then what I ended up doing, I can kind of show you. So you can see it flares out a little bit, but I did a turned thicker cuff. So I basically knit up, did a purl row, and then flipped it underneath, and then cast off here. And they fit pretty well. I'm wondering how the 100% superwash, even though it's 100% superwash wool, I'm wondering how it will wear. But these are going to be basically my birthday Halloween socks, because I really love the colors, the blacks and the whites, and I'm loving shorty socks. I really am. I think I'm going to add some more to my wardrobe. They're super fast. I think I would find more inclined to wear them year round, because I can't wear my knit socks. My cat is taking off with some of the yarn that I have next to me to show you. So yeah, I'm really loving them. So the pattern is just the toe up I've been using, which I think is like based on Sockmatician's kind of pattern, which I don't support, but I like his pattern. Yeah, and that's all I finished in the last few weeks. Oh yeah, I should show you. She is totally making love to this yarn, which I'll show you later. In my Now Playing, I had quite a few projects that I brought with me on my trip. So I was gone for almost 12 days, and I got a fair amount knit on a lot of things. Let's start with the socks in my Java Jenny pumpkin bag. Yeah, there's a whole theme. These are the Duckies by Samantha Hayes. It's a free pattern, and I finished one. And these are actually a sport weight yarn that I did, and it's just got, where's my sock? Ugh. Very simple lace pattern that I really liked. Yeah, here you go. Super simple, super easy. I'm really just using the pattern for the lace motif. I knit mine, these are 60 inches around, well, 60 stitches rather, not inches. That would be giant. 60 stitches around, though, with the motif to kind of keep it going. I had to add one because the motif is actually 31 and 31. So this is actually 62 and this is actually 61 around. But yeah, I'm really enjoying them. I've cast on for the toe on the second one, and I have a fair amount left. I think I will be using most of this ball, but just a cool pair of socks that I like. Not sure if I'm going to keep these or if I will give them to my mom. We'll see. But I'm hoping to, well, in general, all of these projects will be finished before the end of the year. So that was the Ducky Socks by Samantha Hayes. It's a free pattern, and I started these, I don't know, a few weeks ago. Oh, and the yarn is Dragonfly Fibers and Damsel, which is 100% merino, and Scherzazardi. I know that sounded horrible. The other pattern I've been knitting on is my All About the Brioche shawl by Lisa Haynes. And I haven't started the brioche yet. It's really, I'm just in the stockinette. But I really like how I started here and how the shape is going. And I like how the edge is firm yet a little stretchy, which is sometimes a problem. And I'm loving this color. This is Leading Men Fiber Arts. What is the colorway? I think it's Foliage. Yes, it's their Show Stealer, which is their 80-10-10, 80 superwash, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. And then this is the Foliage. And then I'm going to be, as soon as, I don't know, a few more inches left before I start the brioche section. And then the brioche is going to be the Foliage with this great yellow, which is called Dippin' Sauce. And then it will end with the yellow. And I have this in my matching kind of fall Fat Squirrel bag. yeah, so the pattern, as I said, is All About the Brioche by Lisa Hands. It is a paid pattern. I haven't gotten to the brioche yet, but because I just did brioche for the Stephen West shawl I did, I'm really kind of excited about it. So, been working on that. The other thing I was working on is my sweater. And this is the Donner by Elizabeth Doherty. It's kind of a pull over, very simple kind of stitch. And I'm doing mine in Lindy Chain, which is actually a Knit Picks yarn. It's a 70% linen, 30% cotton. And I was inspired to do this pattern and this yarn by Charlene of the... why am I forgetting her podcast? I just listened to them yesterday. The Yarniacs. Sorry. Yes, the Yarniacs. She has knit one out of this. And so I think I heard her talk about it last year. And I said, oh, that would be perfect because she lives in California and they kind of, you know, have the weather thing where we can't wear the heavy sweaters. And so I am through kind of the top. So you start with the back and you knit up and then you do a cool little braid. It's kind of hard to see in this color yarn. And then you pick up, not pick up, but you pick up and go down. So I've knitted both the shaping on both the fronts, and now I've got to go back and forth before I pick up and join in the round and knit down. So the pattern is easy to remember. It's, I don't even know, she calls it the crest stitch, and it's just creates this cool little ridge. I'm liking it. I have a lot left. The yarn is splitty. I am actually using old Knit Pick set so that I could use bamboo. So I do sort of have to pay attention in some spots, but I think because it's going to soften up, you know, when I wash it and dry it, like here's my swatch and it's much softer. And I think if once I do it a few more times, and I just love this kind of plummy gray. I think it'll just be a really great neutral, and I'm hoping it'll just be a really easy pattern to kind of just wear. So that is the Donner by Elizabeth Doherty. And as I said, you saw how far along I have this in another fat squirrel with happy colors. Then I cast on for a pair of socks while I was gone. I needed a mindless pair of socks because the duckies are exactly mindless. So I showed you the Patons Croy I bought last time, and so I went ahead and cast on with that. And I've actually finished the first sock. So this is Patons Croy in Blue Raspberry Stripe, and I did do a different, and I can't remember what this is actually. I don't think I wrote it down. This contrasting heel, because it was going to be short. This is for my boyfriend, and these socks are shorter than he likes. He will wear them because he can wear them with sneakers, but yeah. So when I saw how fast I was going through the ball, I knew I was going to not be able to give the length quite that he wanted. So I wanted to do a contrasting for the heel, and I picked up this, and it's totally the color. So it totally matches. And yeah, so I'm finished the first one. I'm about to turn the heel on the second one. And these are just great mindless. I would say if I haven't knit with Patons Croy, and if I have a very long time, it is a thicker yarn. It is more toothy. I think he doesn't mind that. It's still a 75%, 25%, but it's thicker. So we'll see. I like that I'm going to use all of this up. This is kind of where I am. I did have a problem with the second ball having a knot in the middle where the color progression reversed. I'm glad I actually wound the second ball. I did the first one just out of the skein, and I didn't do anything. I just took it from the center and worked from that way. But on the second one, I didn't want to do it that way. So, and I had time, so I was winding it, and then I found the knot in the middle and realized that not only did they knot it, they reversed the color progression, which that's such a lame thing to do. It really is. And I understand that whoever's making Patons Croy, probably not a knitter, probably doesn't care, probably just is like, okay, let's keep going. So the second sock, I did reverse the ball to do the progression, but I'm not started in exactly the same spot. So it's not going to be exactly the same as the first sock. So well, but at least my stripes will be in the right progression, which I'm all over that. And I have this in my Nomadic Nomadic Yarn sock cube in a beautiful Halloween colorway. I should have had a drinking game where every time I said Halloween or pumpkin or orange, everyone could have had a drink, but it's a little early in the day. I'm actually recording. It's probably about 10 in the morning. Perfect light. It's a beautiful day. We are having horrible fires in California right now, which is very, very sad. And luckily, I live nowhere near fires. I don't live in an area with a lot of open space where we could have fires. I do have, we had a fire scare a few years ago. I do have like a strip of, it's not even woods, just a strip of land that is not built on close to me. And that did light on fire a few years ago, and it was put out. So that was scary because it was close, and if it had jumped to houses. But the fires that are happening in California right now, Northern California and then Southern California, the Getty Fire and things like that, I don't live anywhere near them. I'm in no danger. I don't predict myself being in danger personally. My jobs could possibly be in danger. Like, so the reservoir I was working on, they are fairly close to the Getty Fire, but on the other side of the freeway. But the reservoir is being used. That's where the water is being gathered. That is being used in the firefighting effort. So it's pretty interesting. We actually have a very large lower reservoir that is emergency storage. It's actually not in the system, like we call it. It's not treated water. It's just a large amount of water that we use that we could use in case of emergency. If we had an earthquake or we had some type of catastrophic event, that we could use this water if our system was damaged somewhere. But it's an open, looks like a giant lake, basically, as anyone who has reservoirs know. And that is where they fill their helicopters up. And it's kind of an interesting process. They basically have, it looks like a giant straw. The helicopter goes over, hovers over the water, drops, in essence, a giant straw down, sucks water in, and then pulls the straw up and flies off. And that whole process is like 2 minutes. Like, it is amazing how fast these big helicopters can fill. And I haven't been over there this week because it's, I don't need to be over there this week. I have another office, but my coworker is over there. He says that the helicopters are doing like 2 minutes round trip, which is the fastest he's seen it. And so all the firefighters are amazing, and everyone who works tirelessly and comes in from all over the US and I think the world in some cases, to help us fight fires is great. So on that kind of sad, depressing note, let's move on. So I have had some trips. As I said, I went to, well, let's start with one. Last episode, I said I was going to do Vlogtober, and I sort of did for a few days. And then when I went on my trip, I stopped. And what I've come to realize that, one, it's hard for me to come up with content to talk about myself that much for 31 days. And two, I don't like to film out in public and like talk to a video and do things like that. I love watching podcasters who do vlogs, but it is just not me. So I stopped. And I did take pictures and videos and stuff from my vacation, but not with the intent of stringing them into a vlog, though I might enter some stuff into this one. So that is why you got a few episodes of Vlogtober and then I stopped. I'm a Vlogtober fail. It's fine. But then on my trip, so I flew out, the boyfriend and I flew out to go see my family. And the intent was we flew out and got there like on a Friday morning, and I was going to spend 2 days and see my niece and my nephew and my sister, because they were not going on the trip, but they ended up going away for the weekend. So we pretty much just had a very quick turnaround where I saw them for a few hours, and then they were going up to New Hampshire to enjoy the fall. So we ended up leaving a day earlier than expected. So we left on the Saturday, my brother, my mom, my boyfriend, and I, to drive out. And we drove, they live in Rhode Island. So we drove up to the Mass Pike and then stopped in Sturbridge Village and had the most amazing barbecue. Seriously, like, it is probably the best meal, one of the best meals I've had. Definitely on the trip, and one of the best meals in a while. JT's Smokehouse in Sturbridge, if you're anywhere near close. It's so good. Such a long line, but so good. Anyways, then we drove and I had some navigating fails, which is very unlike me. But we stopped at the Yankee Candle Store, which I love the Yankee Candle Store. Their headquarters is out of, it's up near Northampton. Is it Deerfield? I think it's Deerfield. And so we stopped there because my brother had never been, and obviously the boyfriend, and it was just massive. It's a massive place. You can get all the Yankee candles, all the different, and then they just have stuff, like rooms and rooms of Christmas ornaments and just housewares and all sorts of things. I did pick up a few candles, but, and then we drove and we ended up stopping and staying at a place outside of Albany, New York for the night, just like a microtel that I picked up on, my phone as we were driving. And then the next day we drove up through the mountains in upstate New York to kind of see fall color, which my mom, my brother, and we're fall color freaks. Love just driving and looking at leaves. My boyfriend didn't get it as much. Out of the first few minutes, he's like, okay, I get it. Leaves, color. He is not New England. That is for sure. Us New Englanders love our fall foliage. So we did that, and that took us a few hours, and we drove through and meandered and saw lots of prettiness. And then we got back down to the highway and pretty much then drove from then on to get to Niagara Falls. And then we stayed in Niagara Falls on the Canada side. It was so fast to get over the border. It was like crazy fast. It was not that fast coming back into the US, but they got it down in Canada. We crossed over in Buffalo, and I think it took us, 5 minutes to cross the border and, have our passports all checked. It was awesome. So anyways, we drove into Niagara Falls and it was beautiful. I did splurge on a Hilton that is right on the fall side, and I splurged on a room on a really high floor. I think we were on the 45th floor, and we just had a beautiful view of the Horseshoe Falls as well as the American Falls. And it was gorgeous. You could just sit there and look at the falls in the daytime, in the morning when the sun was rising, and the night when the lights were on. I mean, it was gorgeous. We did walk around. We were there over Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving, I think was on that Monday, that holiday. And yeah, we just walked around and enjoyed hanging out and seeing the falls. And the next day we went on the Canadian equivalent of Maid of the Mist tour, which is like Hornblower cruises. And that was amazing. It was very funny. My brother was like, I'm having a moment. This is amazing. Because when you're so close to the falls and you just feel that power and you feel that mist, and it's pretty powerful. So it was definitely amazing. It's definitely touristy, very touristy. I can imagine in the summertime, we were there in the fall when it was a holiday weekend. So I think there were quite a few people there, but you walk around that place and it is set up for tourists, and tourists with children. We were staying in one part, and after the boat tour, we ended up walking out of the street, and it was permanent haunted houses and laser tag and other things. And we actually, my brother, my boyfriend, and I rode on these not scooters. I guess they were kind of they're sort of like go-karts, and a go-kart kind of up and down kind of thing. And it was fun. It was really fun. So yeah, so we did that, and if you're interested in any of this, at the end, I'll do a few pictures and maybe some videos so you can kind of see. And after that, then the next day, we drove up along the river up to Lake Ontario, and it was just more beauty. It was perfect peak time, and the river and green, and that day, because it was Tuesday, it was quiet. So a lot less tourists driving around. And then we drove up to Niagara on the Lake and had kind of a late lunch there. And then we drove to Toronto. And driving to Toronto was interesting. Traffic, which didn't really faze the boyfriend and I being in traffic. I mean, it was just oh, traffic, it was 5 o'clock on a work day. But my mom and my brother were like, oh my gosh, the traffic. And we're like, this is nothing. It was typical traffic you see in LA. And I guess I've been very jaded against traffic living here so long. It's just a fact of life in Los Angeles. We actually stayed in a condo in Toronto, and that was interesting. I booked it on HomeAway, and the location and what it was perfect. It was just like a small 2-bedroom with a couch that you could do out, but it was like a scavenger hunt to get the key. Like, I had not apparently gotten or printed out this email, which kind of showed how you would go get the key. And so I was having a back and forth with the owner a little bit, and he was being a little testy. It's like, well, you were supposed to print the email I sent you. It had like all of the ways and how you're going to get the key. And I was like, okay. I didn't. So can you resend it? I don't have it in my email. And he ended up trying to send it to me. It didn't go through. And this is back and forth when, my service was okay, but it was spotty because I was on an international carrier kind of thing. Finally got the email to my boyfriend's one, and it was like a scavenger hunt. It was like, okay, pull into the garage, and then go to this door, and then go up these stairs, and then go take these stairs to the left, and if you've gone this far, and then get to this floor, and then go in the stairwell, and then unlock the lock box that's attached to the handrail in the stairwell. Like, what? It was interesting. And then you take that, and you go back down, and then you open the garage to park, and once we got through all those craziness, though, the condo itself was nice, and the owner was very friendly, gave lots of suggestions of what to do. We were in the downtown area, if you're familiar with Toronto, near the St. Lawrence Market, and so yeah, we walked around and did that. The next day, the Wednesday, which is when the boyfriend flew back out, it rained, and we got soaked. We walked around anyways, but I didn't really have a plan, so we were just sort of randomly walking around. We did go to the St. Lawrence Market, which was nice, and the night before we had gone out walking, and we'd gotten a drink, gone to a bar too, and yeah, we just were absorbing the flavor of Toronto. And then the boyfriend, I took him to the train station, he flew back out, and then my mom, my brother, and I went to the CN Tower, which was the only thing I kind of wanted to do. And we went at dusk, which was beautiful, the sun setting. But they had sold out their like observation floor, so like 80% of it was closed for a private event. So it was a little weird and crazy, but anyways, and then so when the boyfriend and I do a trip, we try to pick up something that is a memento. When we went to Japan, we got a print that we framed, and we did that this time too. So this is the Flatiron Building in Toronto, and we were staying like a block from there, and we went to the bar that was in the basement of this. So we thought that was cool, because we can, it holds memories, and it's a pretty picture, and I've already put it in a frame. And this was just actually a greeting card, so it was $5 or something. And then the next day, the Thursday, we got up early and we boogied it back because my mother wanted to be back home in time for her Quilt Guild meeting at 6 o'clock. And so we left Toronto at 7, and it was going to be, a 9-hour drive. And we got back to the house at 5:30. My brother drove most of the way, and he's a little speedy. And then, as I said, when we were crossing the U.S. border, we had about a 45-minute wait for no real reason. It just seemed they were taking a long time to process people, and got up there and was fine. So then I drove back on the Thursday. We made it back from my mom's guild meeting. And then on Friday, I said goodbye to everybody, and then I drove to Rhinebeck, and I met my friends, and we stayed in a house outside of Woodstock, New York. And the first night we hung out. We just hung out. It was a lot of hanging out this weekend. I love seeing those ladies, and we only really manage it once a year now. So we had 8 people in our house, 8 or 9. I can't remember exactly. It's a gorgeous house in Woodstock. This was the first time we'd stayed in this particular house, and it had a lot of room and a beautiful secluded lot and just trees and deer and loveliness. And we went to Rhinebeck on Saturday, and it was extremely, extremely crowded. So many people, which the people watching is amazing. All the sweaters, all of the people, it's great. But when you can't walk through a barn, you can't actually look at any of the vendors' things. You can't get any lunch. We waited in line for the apple cider donuts because my friend Michelle wanted apple cider donuts, and it was an hour and 15 minutes. I mean, we had our knitting. We knitted. That was fine. And I didn't really mind because I've been to Rhinebeck. I was trying to remember. I think this was my 6th or 7th time. Maybe more. I think it's somewhere around there. And a lot of the vendors stay the same from year to year. Plus, I don't need to have anything. And I knew we were going to be going on Sunday because we weren't leaving until Monday. So it was not necessarily needed to kind of, it wasn't going to be our only day. So we weren't stressed about not seeing anything. The crowds were crazy, and we ended up leaving around, I don't know, 3-ish and heading back because we would just prefer to go back and knit. And we ordered pizza that night, I think, or maybe the next night. I don't remember. Anyways, we went back and hung out and knitted, and that was wonderful. And then on Sunday, some people left, and we went to the festival, and way quieter, way nicer, way easier. In fact, we all kind of had a discussion, and I think we've all decided we're not going to go to Rhinebeck on Saturday anymore. The crowds just make it not enjoyable. The people are enjoyable, and seeing everyone is wonderful, but everything else kind of tempers the taste. Versus Sunday is wonderful. It's like a third of the crowds, if that. You can walk in and see all the vendors. You can walk through the barns. You don't have the crazy lines and the craziness. So I did all my shopping on Sunday. It did start raining while we were there, and we were not rain prepared. So we ended up staying a few hours, and when it started to kind of rain, we left. So we were there probably like 2.5 hours. But I managed to get some shopping done. So for part of my shopping, I got a t-shirt from, I think it's Matterroot. And, oh, let me show you. Orange yarn ball goes with my other wonderful. I went to Walmart with my mom while I was there, and I picked up these awesome Halloween leggings that I'm using for pajamas, sort of. Pajamas-ish. I'm in a pajama day because I'm not really going anywhere. So I purchased this t-shirt, which was awesome. I had seen my friend Emily had a shirt. I guess she had picked a similar one up at a different festival, I think Maryland. So it was awesome, and I love it. And then I didn't go crazy. I had picked out sweaters that I thought I wanted to buy yarn for. I had a fingering, a sport, and a DK weight sweater. And I was just like, if I see something, that's what I'll get. So I ended up picking for the sport weight actually on the way out. And this is, I wanted a toothy, solid, sheepy kind of wool. So Bare Naked Wools by Knit Spot. I've been following Anne's blog for years and years and years, and I just saw this, and it was soft, and it had a sample knit up, and it's 100% Jacob wool, Jacob's Dream Sport, and it is 450 yards, and I got 4 of these, so I have so much yardage. I have 1,800 yards of this, mainly because if I gotten 3 for the sweater I wanted, it would have been good, but then if I decide I want to make a different one, I didn't want to be short. You can't go back and get this. It is small batched, and so I just went ahead and picked up 4 skeins. So I probably have about, I don't know, 400 yards more than I need, but it's just awesome. I'm loving it. So I have picked out a sweater that I think I'm going to knit with it, and I'm going to show it to you. Come on. I picked up the Dripping. This is the Dripping Honey by Anna Johanna, and this is kind of the picture. It's got these great cable details that I really like, but other than that, it's really simple, kind of pull over. So that's what I bought it for. And then the other And this was the yarn that my cat was just making love to. She's already taken one of these skeins and I don't know where she went with it. I'm gonna have to go find her. So she always gets attracted to the really, really sheepy wools. But because I don't leave my yarn out, she's not usually getting it. Anyways, the other one that I picked up yarn for is the Ashland by, who is this by? Julie Hoover. Julie Hoover. And this is a really cool graphic. So it's mostly one color, and then you have two colors with these cool graphic stripes. Apparently it's also steeked, which I didn't realize. Somebody told me later. So hopefully I can still do this sweater with this wool. So Oh Wool is a wool I have been looking at for a few years, and they do basically organic, and I'm not sure, but this is 100% machine washable organic merino. Their prices are very, very reasonable. So I was able to get a sweater's worth. This is going to be the neutral. So this is, I think, their oyster mushroom colorway. And then my two colors, because it's so me, are going to be Feldspar and whatever this grade is, Fowler's Toad. I mean, how awesome is that? Isn't that so me? So I picked up 4 skeins of this, and then I only need 1 skein of each of these contrasting, and I have another sweaters. So both of these sweaters are going to be on my Make 9 for next year, and hopefully they'll both be ready for Rhinebeck. And that is all the yarn I bought. That was really good. The other thing is, for all of my housemates, my mom made project bags, and I have one. I also have one of the unique ones, but this was the bag. She did this really cool, just drawstring kind of sock size bag in this mushroom fabric that I had picked up that I loved a while ago. And then she did like eyeglasses and kind of a pattern, and then I think mine is just a gray inside. This is actually a little different. Everyone else had more floppy. This was one of the first ones she made, and she had done an interfacing, and she didn't like it. She felt it was too stiff. But because I had 6 knitters in my house, and I had 6, she had made a total of 7 of these. The other 6 knitters each got a project bag. It's kind of a memento. And then I have this awesome project bag, which I will use. So thank you, Mom. Mom does like reasons to. My mom is a quilter, as I said, and she likes to have reasons to make things. Don't we all? Don't we all? Sometimes when you craft, like I have more socks than I need. I actually am shoving socks now into my sock bin. I have exceeded my sock bin capacity, and so I need to make 6 socks for other people. My kitty's still over here. I'm gonna have to give her some medicine. So what else has been going on? I have been watching television, and I like to share that because I like to hear what other people are watching. In terms of network TV, the only new show I started watching is Stumptown, because I like the actress. Who is the actress from? Oh, she just threw up her lunch on the rug. Oh, real life. Anyways, I will finish podcasting and then I will clean that up. My old lady does seem to have a sensitive stomach, so she must have went into a coughing fit. So Stumptown, which is basically another kind of detective procedural show, and it has one of the guys from New Girl, and I can't remember the actress's name, but she was on How I Met Your Mother and in the Avengers, in the Marvel movies. In terms of TV, I just wanted to see, so the guy is a king of like randomly surfing and finding things, and so he went through and he was checking out like all these new channels that you can get through our Fire Stick, and he went to IMDb TV, which is one I hadn't gone, and it's a free one with ads, but it has like full seasons of a lot of things. So we watched some episodes of Rockford Files, Taxi. But what I really loved is it has Midsummer Murders, which you know I love, and they had just taken off of Netflix, and I was having to get it one episode at a time on DVD. And since, there's another 80 episodes I haven't seen, it was going to take forever, but they have it on IMDb TV. I don't even have to watch any ads. Maybe it's so old they don't have ads, but super excited. So if you're looking for a lot of classic television, IMDb TV, check it out. It's free. Well, it's free if you have Amazon Prime and a Fire Stick. I don't know if it's free on everything else. And then Netflix, I watched Disenchantment, which is the Matt Groening kind of, I think he did it, so Simpsons inspired kind of cartoon, which I really enjoy. And I'm also watching Good Witch, which is a very family-friendly television show about sort of a witch. She sort of has powers, but it's never really said. She just does good things. And it's just a very feel-good show that I like to watch. And Tales of the City was another one I watched, which was a Netflix show. I guess it was based on a series of books. And there's been a series of miniseries based on these books. And this was like the newest kind of round. I really liked it because it was based in basically a apartment building in San Francisco that homes that is home to a random bunch of people who become family. And they are representative of San Francisco and all of the things. So you have a transgendered person, you have someone who's going through transition, you have someone who is gay, you have someone who's not, and it's just about the trials and tribulations. And they touch upon some of the history of San Francisco. One of the episodes was about going back and what it was like in the 60s and 70s. And it was just really well done. And I love seeing shows that depict other types of families and other types of people, because there are a lot of people in the world and sometimes you don't get to see that. And I think it's very important, as everyone said, you always want to see on media, mainstream kind of television, you want to see someone like you. And I think it's very powerful and very important. And yeah, so it was just well done. If it's a continuation of I guess the miniseries were from the 80s and 90s. So that's all I've been watching. Reading, I'm still making it through my Wheel of Time series. I haven't really done much audiobook this month in the last few weeks. What else do I have? I'm sorry, I keep looking down at my notes. Press junket, so upcoming things. So backing up. In terms of knitting, I've been thinking about what I want to do, and I really like the Make 9 really worked well for me, and I think I'm going to do it again for next year. So I have 2 sweaters now for my queue for next year. I already have some shawls. I have another sweater I think I want to do, but I want to use mostly stash yarn. I think I want to do like some type of fade sweater, but I might need to pull out and find a skein or two to kind of go in that. And then I have a few other larger quantities in my stash that I want to find a project for and do that as my Make 9. I really like this idea of buying with intent and then knitting down, and then so my stash doesn't overwhelm me. So as part of that, as I said, I want to do some type of fade sweater, and I think I might need a skein or two. And I just realized that Vogue Stitches Pasadena, Vogue Knitting Pasadena, I'm not sure which one it is. Anyways, it's in like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And so I will have the opportunity to do some yarn shopping there. I don't have any plans to do anything special. I'll probably just go on either the Saturday or the Sunday or the Thursday or the Friday, or we'll see what works out. But I'm going to use that as an opportunity to kind of figure out and fill in any kind of yarn buying I need to do for the upcoming year for 2020. So I need to sit down and kind of figure out what I have, what I want to do, and if I need to get any yarn for anything. For the rest of this year, I want to finish what I have on the needles. So I have the shawl, the sweater, socks of course will be done. And then after that, I think I want to work on, I want to bring out my Christmas ornaments that I started working on last year that I did, 10. And I wanted to do like another 10 for my little mini tree. So I'm going to try to do that in November and December. And I think I'm going to work on my linen stitch blanket. My linen stitch blanket, finishing that is going to be on my Make 9 for 2020. I'm going to finish it next year. I am. Absolutely. Now, in terms of press junket, so I will be at Pasadena, whatever, I think it's Stitches Pasadena. in 2 weeks. I think it is in the second or third week of November. I will be having my niece come visit me for the week between Christmas and New Year's. My sister is having her third child, and she is due right around Christmas. So I thought it would be fun to have my niece, who didn't come see me this summer, come see me over her Christmas break. That way my sister would have some, one-on-one time with the new baby, and I would have some one-on-one time with my niece. So she's going to be coming, and right now I think we're going to have like a Disneyland day, probably have like a Magic Mountain day, and then I think we might go to the Rose Bowl parade. I've never been, and I think it would be fun, and she would enjoy it. In January, I plan to go see my girlfriend in Cleveland, which is the worst time to visit, but it is a time I have time to go. So yes, Cleveland in the middle of winter. And Stitches West is in February. I'll be attending that. And then the other big thing I have is my big international trip to Morocco in April with my brother. I'm really excited about that. So I think I've nattered on for a while. I don't think I have anything else to show. Nothing around me anyways. I think I've talked enough about Halloween and my love. I have to say, where we live, we don't get any kids, so I won't be giving out any candy. The rest of my day is going to be watching horror movies and knitting. And maybe eating a piece of cake I bought for myself yesterday. Don't really do anything giant for my birthday. I'm sure my boyfriend will give me a card or something like that, but I don't need presents or anything like that. Just me time is wonderful. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I hope everyone is having a happy Halloween, a happy Samhain, a happy Day of the Dead, if that's what you celebrate wherever you are. This is a wonderful time of year. I hope everyone is having a great time and everyone is safe. I always want everybody to be safe. So you can find me as Allison1031. Now you understand the 1031 on Instagram or Ravelry. And yeah. So that's a wrap from Hollywood, where fantasy meets fiber and dreams are knit. Bye, everybody. Oh, I feel all over the place today.